And we are away. Go on then, introduce it.
Yes, guys, 2025. It is the first podcast of the year. Welcome to the Coach Approach podcast with
Coach Dom and
Bill
Coach
and,
Phil.
Bill and Ben.
Well, just before we just pressed record, we were trying to figure out how to introduce this podcast a little bit more interestingly, but I don't know. I feel that was a little bit better. Well done, Phil.
No worries, I got you back, bro.
Cheers, bro. How are we? How are we? We haven't actually fully caught up yet. So, how was your Christmas?
Well, do you know, I know Christmas and New Year's have been more of a busy one for you. I've had the most chilled Christmas, bro. I got hit with God knows what it was on Christmas Day, and I'm pretty much unwell ever since.
You're
So
always unwell.
not a whole lot has been done.
Must be those 1,500 calories that you eat per day.
I was thinking that, but funny enough, last night went to the shops, meal prepped, um, and got my food for the week. I'm starting the year strong.
Are you over it now?
Little bit, yeah. I feel all right. I'm gonna go train today. Just a bit congested still, but aside from that, the cough's gone, the blocked nose is
You know
almost
what?
gone.
There's a lot of my clients that have been ill. I started to come down a little bit. Now I've had a little bit more espresso martinis over Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've had more alcohol than I'd ever would, and then I started getting my ulcers. My glands started swelling up. I was like, oh my God, this is my body telling me I'm getting run down. So I was like, right, I was going to gym this morning, but I'm not. Just plenty of hydration, doubled up on my fruit, doubled up on my vegetables, and I feel actually a little bit better.
That's the key. Like what you put into your body will help you during that time. So literally, same as you've been having lots of fruit,
Yeah,
supplements.
if anyone's listening and is feeling a little bit unwell, double up on fruit, double up on vegetables, loads of hydration, and rest. Try not to.
People forget food's medicine. I don't like taking medication, so everyone's like, "Oh, take night nurse and stuff like that." I won't take it.
Yeah, you can get most of the stuff in food. Like
Probably why I stay ill for so long.
that's you barely eat anything. There's what's that saying? I put it on my email. That was it. Eat food for medication. Don't eat medication for food.
100%. And there's people that live on medication.
Yeah, no, I've said that to a lot of people, but at the same time, I still think medication does have its place for sure.
Mm.
Um, so should we stroll into the topic?
Let's get
Uh,
straight into it, bro.
right into it. Now, we have got a topic every month, and today's topic is how me and Phil build training plans for clients, for photo shoot clients, for general population clients. When I say general population, I've got clients that are mums, that are dads. I've got university clients. I've got middle-aged clients with just a partner. So people that have full-time jobs as well. Some clients are at uni, some clients own their own businesses, some clients work part-time. So it's how me and Phil build a training plan for. We're not going to go into every single kind of scenario, but we'll get a good general feel of it. So you guys who are listening can take this and kind of apply it to your own training if you haven't got a coach, of course. And this is be exactly how we do it, how we think. I don't know how Phil's been on or what Phil's been on biomechanical courses, but I've been on so many of resistance training courses, how to build programs, going into resistance training. There's a lot into it, which I probably won't overpower people with the knowledge. And that sounds a bit weird, but I won't go into too technical terms. We'll try and keep it basic, but there is a vast amount of knowledge that is good to know for when you're training. Right? Correct, Phil?
Absolutely. So for me personally,
Let's give the scenario first.
okay.
Let's say because again, me and Phil don't even know what we each other going to say, but I had a kind of idea what I'm going to ask Phil. Say I'm a beginner in the gym. I've trained a little bit, not a lot, and I can train 3/4 times a week. What do you give me? Go for it.
I think that's the most important personally I'm tailoring what I'm gonna say to, which is just the average person that especially at this time of year, it's just gonna be the average day-to-day person who just wants to maybe get a little bit of results, start getting a little bit of like progress made. Um, and compared to someone who's already been training for years with a goal of training to compete on stage or compete for a photo shoot, for example. And I
Yeah.
feel how you design a program would be very different between the two different kinds of people, because obviously skill level, commitment, where they're at currently in their journey, etc. So if we're just speaking about an average person, first of all, what I think is most important to do and what I make sure that I get done with them, not just for me, but for them, most importantly, is getting crystal clear on goals. What is it that they want to achieve? So, in regards to goals, if you're not crystal clear on goals, you see what a lot of people do is they go into the gym with no help, no guidance, in there, just do whatever with not even a proper goal in mind or how to achieve that goal. And then you don't see them again in February because they kind of forgotten what it is that they even wanted to achieve while in the gym. Does that make sense? So I'll go through long range goals, short range goals with them as well, so that we can then make some steps like a ladder to help them get to where it is that they want to be. So,
But what about just so specifically training? Forget about the long-term goals. How would you build a training plan?
so if the average person, who most
Phil
people,
goes on tangent here. Phil's going all the way to the end into their like past experiences,
yeah,
childhood traumas.
this is what they I do, bro. Sometimes this is what they need.
Okay,
Uh,
just specifically
so
training.
if we're just talking about that, like I say, the average person who can train 3 to 4 times a week, um, we'll find out their skill level first. So this can either be done by taking them through a little fitness test, asking them what sort of level they've been at with training previously, what their training background's been. So if
Okay,
they,
okay. So I'm a beginner. I'm going to start this again with you before you go off.
I'm not going off tangent.
Right, forget about all of that. But there's a begin. Right, so you want to go into the gym with a training plan with a beginner.
Mhm.
Forget about all the assessments because we could like generally Phil is right. You are technically right, but we could be here for
Oh, I'm right.
hours speaking about that because that's what I used to do with the PT stuff. But say someone's listening and wants to go right, what can look out for a training plan as a beginner 3/4 times a week?
So determine what split they can do, or determine what split you're going to give them. So again, that gets determined by how many times a week they can train. So we'll do. It could be a push, pull, legs, full body, for example. That would be like the average split I'd give someone who can train that many times per week. Obviously, there's other splits you can do. Splits I've seen you do that personally I've never implemented would be like a posterior and I can't remember the other one. Anterior.
Anterior and
Anterior.
posterior.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Some,
think that's a bit of a higher skill level. I think anterior, posterior. Um, with your 3 training sessions or 4, 3 is a little bit more limited. I think
mm,
3 sessions per week, you're doing full body for a beginner.
mm,
Sure. When you can go into the realms of 4 training sessions per week, there's a lot more range of training splits that you can do. So if you're a beginner, me personally, if a client comes to me and goes, right, I'm a beginner, I've only just started the gym, I can do 3 times a week. What's it going to be? Full body.
mhm.
How would you design a full body workout?
How
What,
would I?
how does your full body session go? When you train clients on a full body, what do you try? How do you train it? How do you lay it out?
So personally, there's no perfect program. Like so, some movements, some people not be able to master straight away or be able to nail down in the first session. But typically, it would look like we do. I like to choose between either doing like a push exercise, then a pull exercise, then a push, then a pull. Maybe a core exercise in there for lower body like squats, deadlifts or something like that. With deadlifts, obviously, wouldn't be going overly heavy, and
Mm.
then finish off with a circuit.
That's very different to how I do it.
I personally, you don't
But this
program
is the beauty
circuits.
of different coaches. So me and
Mhm.
Phil coach very differently in terms of training. So the way he would do it is like push, pull, core, circuits at the end. I personally would go for hamstring curl at the beginning, then a squat pattern. So if you're a beginner looking for a full body workout, look at a hamstring curl first, then into a squat pattern. That could be a leg press or Smith squat or hack squat or pendulum, whatever you want to do. I'd always do that. Then I would go into a chest exercise, then a shoulder exercise, then a back exercise, a pull down, then a row. That's six. Then a tricep, and then a bicep. So that's eight exercises that I specifically do for a client for a full body. Now I know you do push pull, core, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
I would personally stick to that as a beginner, as a first session. Do you know what I mean? So lying hamstring curl, 45-degree leg press, chest press, shoulder press, lat pull down, machine row, tricep push down, bicep curl. Eight exercises, done. That is what your resistance training, in my way of viewing and the way that I program clients full body. And that will run, you know, times by three. We'll have different variations of those. So it could be a lying hamstring curl in one session, seated hamstring curl in another, and then it could be, it could be a hip hinge of an RDL, maybe depending on their skill level on the third exercise. So you're still attacking the hamstring curl in just different ways. Same with the leg press. Could be a 45-degree leg press, could be a Smith squat, could be a goblet squat, could be a pendulum, some sort of squat pattern. And then, you got your horizontal chest press, you've got your incline chest press, you've got bench press, you've got dumbbell press, all that type of variations. That would be my main compound for a chest. And then obviously your shoulders could be shoulder press. The next session on full body 2 could be lateral raise. Full body 3 could be another lateral raise, but with a cable. So my way of doing full bodies is very different to Phil's, but there is no right or wrong way. It's how we preference the split and how to organize it. And then I would add in some core at the end, or if they're time constricted, I'll do some supersets. So you could do a hamstring curl superset with a goblet squat, or you could do a chest press superset with a dumbbell lateral raise. So time comes into play with how long they've got, because full body does take longer, but because you're in the gym for less in the week, meaning you do have to pack in a little bit more. That's the way I look at it.
I think as long as you got an all-rounded program where you're pretty much looking after every muscle that you can that that you obviously want to train during the week and making sure that everything's getting hit, the for me the program doesn't really matter in order. Um, but like we said a minute ago, what's most important is time and obviously goals as well, but still making sure that you're taking care of everything else. So like some people, they want to their main goal, for example, is to grow chest. Every single session will just be something around growing up their upper body, but then everything else gets neglected.
Yeah, but I would say if you're a full body beginner, you don't need to focus on anything. I
Mm,
don't think you need to have a focus of, I want to bring my chest up or I want to bring my back up. No, you need to get in the gym, you need to get strong in the gym, and you need to be consistent in the gym, and you have no focuses, in my opinion. That's what I would say. There's a lot of, even bodybuilders, there's no specialized program that they really go into until very, very late in, until they're very like they're top athletes. There's
mm,
no need for specific programming.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
this is where people go wrong, actually. Like I had a client who was like he was quite overweight, very overweight, beginner, but training on and off, and he was doing chest and tries, back and bis, then shoulders and arms again, and no legs, and he had a good 25 kilos, like what's that, 306, about 4 stone to lose. And I was like, no, you do not need to have anything like that. It's awful. That's awful specific training. You just need full body. You need to focus on your cardio and steps and nutrition.
100%. And you made a very good point of saying you'll just give something like 8 exercises, because what happens is when people try to get too specific on isolating muscle groups and stuff, there's hundreds of exercises you can do for one muscle group.
Yeah.
And I think what a lot of people do is they'll see an exercise someone else is doing that's got a totally different and higher skill level to them, and they're like, "Oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong. I need to start." And then they start overcomplicating what they want to add into their program or exercises that they want to try when they're just not there yet. So I think it's about getting few exercises, 6 to 8 exercises, and mastering those to start off with. Build that foundation, and then you can grow from there.
Yeah. Build the foundation, build basics. I think I had a conversation with a client who asked me to put this exercise in, And I was like, right, okay, we can. And I filtered it in and put it in. And 6 weeks later, she goes, oh, I really hate this exercise. And I was like, but you said you loved it. And she was like, oh, no, I actually just saw it on TikTok and it looked pretty cool. I'm like, what? No, there was no, that is a silly way of looking at programming just because you've seen something on TikTok and you like it. Now, full body, beginner, 3 times a week. My preference, and then Phil, you can go and what you think. So whoever's listening can choose between the two. Hamstring curl, squat, chest press, shoulder press, pull down, row, tricep, bicep. 3 sets, 8 to 12. Don't need to be doing anything specific with some cardio at the end. What would you do for 3 sessions per week?
What I'll do 3 sessions per week. So personally, I'm going based off how I enjoy training. So I'll project that belief onto
Yeah.
how I believe others would enjoy training as well. So it'd be upper body, obviously, once you've done your warm ups, etc. I would tend to go either it doesn't matter if it's pull or push first, but I always would like to start with a chest exercise. So whether it's dumbbells, bench, and then a pull down, then it'd be back to something like a shoulder press or lat raise into a row movement. Then we could go into the core leg movement. So something like you mentioned, a squat, hack squat, goblet squat, or something. Again, depending on skill level. Another full body lower movement, deadlift, something like that, and then into doing some core and circuits. Sorry, before that, then maybe some arms before the legs, then the lower, then into circuits, maybe a stretch.
Yeah, nice. I think you're a big fan of circuits. I actually
Mm,
think it's unless specific. I do conditioning work, which is sometimes I do a lot with females actually because females love a circuit.
mm,
I do a hit style for 10, 15 minutes, ski erg, rower, assault bike, or just all on the rower. I've got one client, Brogan, who's doing 10 minutes on the rower, 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off. I don't
mm.
overcomplicate it to work in that capacity, in that zone. But yeah, so that's kind of how we would approach a full body times three guys, without, considering skill level too much, without considering time, without considering the person itself, because obviously Phil could go on tangent. But yeah, there's a lot more to it. But that's how we would kind of just base a 3 day split, And if you are time efficient, if you are time restricted, supersets are going to be a great addition to that. Less rest time, and then yeah, that's what I would be doing. So 4 days per week. This is where it gets interesting because there's so many different variations of splits that
Mhm.
you could do. Um, and there are no particular rules, I would say. Having researched a lot on resistance training, there are foundations and basics that you obviously don't want to be doing chest, 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 legs or chest, chest, back and legs, for example. You want to have a good frequency because, again, you don't need anything too specific because, again, none of us are really at a level that needs specific things to push up. And, it takes time. So, 4 days per week, Phil, go. What would you split? Say it was someone who'd been training for like 6 months to 12 months, relatively decent, got some good experience, want to train 4 days per week. What would you say? How would you lay it out?
So when someone has a little bit more time on their side, I think that would depend on what their primary goal is. Some people aren't really too fussed about their upper body, or they want to grow their upper body, but they more just want to focus on legs, for example. Yeah, because they got that little bit more time. Again, there's so many different ways you could do it. There's no right or wrongs, but
Male and female as well, actually. We didn't mention that. There's
do you
male.
see what I'm saying? Yeah,
Well,
a female might want to train legs twice a week and then upper body twice a week. But so, for example, female who will go off female that wants to grow her
yeah,
legs.
let's
Yeah.
do female. And the full body that I mentioned was male.
So for a female, how you could do it, one of the ways you could do it would be putting in legs twice a week because that's what they want to grow more. Statistically, you'll be able to grow the muscle groups faster if you train them twice a week optimally. Yeah. So put legs in there twice a week or lower twice a week and then an upper twice. But one week could be a push, one session could be a push, one session could be a pull, and then the other two could be legs. Or You could do a push pull again, but in one push session, making sure you're optimizing hitting the chest and pull down movements, and then in the next push session, upper body session, making sure you're hitting the shoulders and focusing more on the row movements, and then legs the other twice a week.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is the beauty of it. So I've got loads of clients, different skill levels. I've got full body push, full body pull, full body push, full body pull. So that's a 4-day training split. I've got push pull legs upper. I've got another client on push pull legs full body. I've got Annie, who I've just created a new program today before we got onto this podcast, where we're going to be doing a photo shoot, and there's a few things that she wanted to focus on and just make sure we're just nailing. And I'll get it up here actually, because it's literally just here. Yeah. So we're going with a lower, upper, quads and delts, and then a posterior. So a good example, our lower session is quite evenly spread. We got like the curl variation, we got a hip hinge, we've got some single leg stuff, we've got some squats. Upper, we kind of cover bases with one chest, two shoulders, two back, one tricep. Quads and delts, we're just focusing on the quads being like the leg extension, hack squat, leg press, feet low down, some walking lunges, lying cuff laterals, dumbbell laterals, and then a posterior. For anyone who doesn't know what posterior means, it's pretty much your whole backside. We're doing some glute kickbacks, hamstrings, we're doing another hip hinge. We got some pull downs and we got some rows. So working all of the back, glutes, and hamstrings. So for Annie specifically, we wanted to make sure we were hitting the glutes a good amount of time over the week. So we got lower, a little bit on the quads and a lot on the posterior because our recovery is good. We're hitting chest and shoulders twice, well, shoulders twice, chest once, and then back we're hitting twice. So that's specific to her and what she likes and her training exercises she enjoys. Um, you've got upper lower split. I've got two a guy and a girl on that, but one female we have a lower which is quad dominant, like lower A, and then lower B, which is hamstring and glute dominant. So again, there is so many possibilities for 4-day training splits. It depends again on male and female, kind of what you want to have a little bit more focus on. I know not all
Mm.
the time you need that focus on, but sometimes it's nice to go, I'm working more on this because I enjoy it more. Um, but yeah, guys, you've got, upper, lower, upper, lower, and that upper one could be more chest dominant. The upper two could be more back dominant. Your lower one could be more quad dominant. Your lower two could be more glutes and hamstring dominant. Or like what Phil said, a push, pull, lower, lower. Push all chest and shoulders, pull all back, and then lower could be mixed, and another lower that could be mixed. Um,
This is a very basic question, but it's more for the people listening. So, someone who, like you mentioned earlier, is new to the gym, but they've done a little bit of training before, they're wanting to go full steam ahead into 2025 and achieving their body results. How many times per week would you say to a newcomer is best for them right now to start training at the start of their journey?
4. I think 4. Most of my clients are on 4. I think that's very doable. Better recovery. 3, you're going into the realms that it will take longer for sure. Like the more times you can train, the better. But then it gets to that point that you can overtrain. So what's the
Mhm.
magic number? 4 is what most people can do. I do 4 because I can't commit to more than 4. Um, and with that, if you're a beginner of 6 months to 12 months, most of my clients that have come to me like that, they'll be on full body push and full body pull. Um, I've got Tia, who's Tia on that, and a full body pull guys could be hamstring curl, some form of glute exercise like an RDL. You can do most of your back movements, rear delts. That would be a full body pull. Full body push would be a leg extension. It could be a hack squat, so very quad dominant, chest, shoulders. That would be a full body push. That focus, anterior posterior, like we mentioned before.
For sure. And I think how a newcomer should look at it as well is they want to still, if they've set a goal in their mind of how many times they want to be training per week, is at the start, like we said, build that foundation. Because if they've said they want to do Monday, Tuesday, not killing themselves off, and so that they're able to train the next day as well. Um, what puts a lot of people off, especially at the start, is they'll try to go as heavy as possible, try to keep up with everyone else that's already strong and didn't take that time off over Christmas training, and then they just blast themselves and
Mm.
fuck themselves up. Like it puts them off wanting to go back to the gym because then that fatigue and tiredness and muscle soreness gets in the way of them being able to perform tasks outside of the gym that they're like, nah, this is too much.
I definitely did that. When I was PTing and coming up, I used to kill people off
Yeah,
on their first training sessions. I think we spoke about this on our first podcast,
we did.
and they couldn't train for a week. And yes, we want to kill clients off, and yes, a lot of clients want that. They go, "Oh, I really want to be killed off." It actually has the reverse effect because then you can't train, and actually you feel worse. So your recovery is very important. Um, your days that you can train play a big factor in your training split. Would you agree?
100%, 100%.
Yeah. Let's say you could only do.
Do you know what? I'll give you an example with why that does matter as well. So for me, someone who plays football,
Mm.
the days I can train will be determined by what day I might have a match or training or something. So I learned very quickly that it was not a good idea to be training legs on a Friday when I had football on a Saturday. And sometimes I'd do that, and then come Saturday on a football game, I can even get out of bed.
You're always injured anyway, mate.
I'm always injured, mate.
Always ill. He's always injured.
I'm only able to play 3 times a year, three months out of the year.
When he does, he bangs in like 5 hat tricks in one game.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, so days do matter. This actually goes back to the full body. Okay, so I actually had one client who was a beginner and could only do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, full body can't really work
Mhm,
with that. And I was like, right, this isn't exactly what I want us to be doing, but you can only train that. You can only do that. So we're doing a push pull legs
mhm,
because it's the only thing that physically they could recover from, and it wouldn't interfere with anything else. So let's say you can only do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A bro split will probably be the best option because try doing full body Monday, full body Tuesday, full body Wednesday. And if you're training at a good standard and you learn to train at a good standard, there is no way you can be doing full body twice in 2 day succession, one after the other.
mm.
Uh,
If yeah, like you said, if you're training with enough intensity, they certainly are gonna be feeling it by that second day that they're not going to be able to train as hard with the same intensity as they did the first session,
yep,
which isn't going to be any good for progression.
yep. And the same goes to, and I think I had another client that was like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They were relatively good, upper lower split. It doesn't really let you recover too much in terms of like just 4 days in succession. So I think we did a push pull legs uh upper but very low volume just to get enough of it, or I can't remember. Yeah, it was roughly that. Ideally, you don't want to be training 4 days in a row, but sometimes this is the stuff that like a lot of people who are not bodybuilders or not people obsessed with the gym, they have jobs, they have outside, they have families. um, I have Max actually. He's lost nearly 20 kilos and he's on a push pull leg split. Obviously, against my kind of wishes because he was time restricted and he could only train at lunchtime. And then the rest of the time at home would be his cardio because we had quite a bit of weight to shift. So I said, look, mate, ideally, I don't want to be doing this, but based on what you can do and based on what you've told me, this push pull legs is the only thing I can think that's going to be nice and quick, get you
Hmm.
stimulating it, and get out in time. And so there's another prime example of right. He can only train 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Well, an upper session definitely takes way longer than that. A posterior session or anterior session definitely takes longer than that.
Hmm.
Like push, we can get in and out quite quickly with doing a little bit less rest time, and still stimulate the muscle we need to. Obviously, frequency plays a big factor, but again, it's nothing we can do about that.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think that was a pretty good. explanation. So 4 days, guys. And pretty much there's so many different splits you can do. What we recommend as a beginner, I personally would do a full body push, full body pull, full body push, full body pull. Do that, rip it to pieces. Then you could maybe go on to an upper lower split if you've got enough rest time. How would we do a full body push? It would be quads, chest, shoulders. How do we do a full body pull? Would be hamstrings, glutes, lower back, upper back, mid back, lats, that type of stuff. So your rows, your pull downs and stuff.
Absolutely. And I'd say, just to reiterate again, is don't overcomplicate the exercises that you have in a program. Start with what you know your skill level would be. Keep it simple and master those movements. Once you've mastered the basics, then you can start thinking about progressing onto more complex movements, harder exercises, more difficult exercises, to avoid that overwhelm of feeling like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to quit, or I don't know how to use this machine. Master the basics, stick to those exercises, progress through with that plan. And when it comes to progression as well, progression always isn't always up in the weight. So people want to get stronger, people want to lift as much as they can those first few sessions. What personally I say to do is know when and how to progress through when it comes to weight, but there's other ways you can look at progression. So tracking your training, obviously Dom has the app, I have the app as well. You can use a book, you can use your notes app, you can use apps called Strong, which are free, which you can build your training program on, then track your weights and reps that you've done. But you can always progress through other ways aside from weight, which would be progressing the amount of reps that you're doing, your form and control of the weight that you're doing, the intensity that you're training, your rest time, for example. So things like that will always help with progression. So it's not just always up in the weight, but focusing on those other aspects as well when following your training program.
That's a good point because I actually had this. I've been having this conversation a lot over the last, 6 months with clients. There's a difference between progressive overload and progressive stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
As you go up in weight doesn't mean you progressively stimulate the muscle better. Sometimes
Exactly.
you don't. So it's gone a bit off tangent here in terms of the training program, but there are multiple ways to progressively overload, or in better terms, progressively stimulate your muscle. You can go up in weight, but making sure technique is good. You can increase your rep. So 1 week you did 10 reps, the next week you did 11. You can actually progressively overload by just executing the movement better. Therefore, you stimulated that muscle better than you did the week before with the same reps and the same weight. So that's important to note as well. So I say this to a lot of people, and I will say it to some clients. Like I said, like you've gone up a lot in 6, 7, 8 weeks, but you look exactly the same. So you're clearly not stimulating or training efficiently. And I say that a lot to more so to the people that don't send me videos because I'm not able to see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, progression, record your weight is very important. I think that's a big factor. Um, what's your training at the moment, Phil?
What's my training at the moment? So typically I'm training about 3 times a week, and then other days of the week playing football when I can.
So what are you doing in those 3 days?
So in my 3 days, my push splits at the moment, well, my push session has been a mixture of chest and shoulders. Before, when I used to train more times weekly, I would do just the chest session. So it'd be uh, major and minor chest muscles, so an incline and flat bench. Then it'd be like a fly, cable or machine fly of some sort. Then I might have added in a bench press, and then triceps. But at the moment, I'm doing chest and shoulders. So it'd be flat bench, incline, shoulder press, lat raise, flies, um, and then triceps. So at the moment, that's what my upper is looking like. Then I'll do a pull session, which would be a pull down, couple pull down movements, couple row movements, lower back as well, so a back extension or rack pull with biceps, and then legs. With the legs, I'll do mainly core, like the core movements. So it'd be like a squat, deadlift, leg press, something like that. And I don't like doing too much like heavy weights on the legs because I want to stay light and explosive. So I'll do more circuit style stuff for the legs. So a lot of jumps, some rebound stuff that would be included into my leg session, which the average person wouldn't necessarily need to do if you're just trying to achieve a bit of a body result. But it'd be a lot of like jumping box jumps, single leg jumps, walking lunges with a jump or something like that. And then the rest of the days I'm playing football. So yeah, my splits are literally upper push, upper pull, and
Yeah. Yeah,
and and runs as well. I know you're against running, but I do a lot of runs. I do a lot of runs besides that too.
this is where me and Phil just have such different training. But this is the beauty of training. I think I spoke to someone yesterday saying, I think everything works. It's just what you prefer. And if you're a bit clever with your programming. Um,
100%. But any split would work. To be fair, as long as you're progressing through with the movements that you're doing, any split would work really.
yeah, so you do running, football, push pull legs. I do I actually so I was doing previously push pull legs upper, one of my splits. Then I was doing push pull legs uh upper and then shoulders and arms. That's what I was doing all the way up until my bodybuilding show. Um and then I did upper lower upper lower. And now I'm on push one, legs one, push two, sorry, pull two, and legs two. So I'm in like a 14-day rotation. Um, and I did an email about this actually, about why it's probably maybe not so optimal, but then it can be. And the reason I'm doing that is because of time efficient wise, it's quicker for me and I prefer it. And I'm still getting within I only train 4 days a week. So doing push, pull, legs, push, like my weeks change all the time. So I'm doing push, pull, legs, push. Then I start the following week with pull, legs, push, pull. Then I start the following week with legs, push, pull, legs. So you can
Hmm.
see how it's different every week.
So each week, what you're focusing on doing is hitting one of the sessions twice a week, and then it changes every week. Yeah, I've programmed some clients programs like that as well.
Yeah.
Um, but again, that's all dependent on time and how many times they can get in the week as well.
Because yeah, on paper it isn't good for frequency. But then my argument to this is I do Monday, I train whatever 4 days in the week. I'm doing push twice in one week. Now let's say I do pull on Wednesday, then it's legs, then it's push again, and then on Monday I'm doing pull two. So I'm still within a 7 day rotation. Does that make sense? So from Wednesday to next week, Monday, that's still within 7 days. I'm always within 7 days after I've gone through the first 14.
Hmm.
And to be honest, mate, I've responded very well. I enjoy it a lot more at the moment. My upper lower split, I did not enjoy because it just took so long. And for me, because I need a lot of rest time, it just was just getting very unproductive. And I can do it. I wanted to be home quicker. I wanted to be not be in and out in 30 minutes. I'm now in and out in about an hour and 15 rather than 2.5 hours.
Mm.
So enjoyment, guys, plays a big factor in your training. And the hypertrophy coach says this. He said the biggest factor for progress is enjoyment, which I do get.
100%.
Um, there'll be days where you won't enjoy it though. I'm sure, Phil, you've gone into the gym and gone, fuck, I wish I wasn't here.
Mate, day after Christmas Day, I was wiped out, and I probably shouldn't have because I put the safety of others at risk, but I still went to the gym. And I really didn't want to be there. It's the last place I wanted to be. I felt so fatigued. I had to do pull ups assisted, I had to do dips assisted because that's how rubbish I felt. But I was like, no, I'm still getting down there. No excuses.
Yeah.
Although I probably should have been in bed. But I enjoy it. And like you said, when it comes to building a program, touching on what you said, like fun plays a massive part. And I feel like a lot of the reason why people hate going is because their program isn't fun. They're
Yeah.
just going there as like a means to an end, whereas you can make it fun. Um, and also, in regards to what you said, I think how we can determine our splits can vary from person to person as well. Like how someone reacts to a certain split, even though they're training on the same days, can be very different to how a certain person bodies reacts or responds to the same type of training. So it is important to remember that there is no perfect training split, there is no perfect routine, there is no perfect plan, but tracking, measuring, and adjusting based on how you respond can be quite key as well. And I
Yeah.
think as coaches, would you agree that you you can kind of know, like once you know a client better, you then understand how to build a program around that person based on how you're seeing that they respond to certain like rep ranges, rest periods, things like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think the longer term client or the client I have the long I keep having longer and longer, you get a better understanding of what they like, what they don't like. Like my training phase feedback form is always like, what do you like? What don't you like? What would you like to do in the new program? Is there anything you want to learn? What rep ranges do you like? So it's always down like, right, this is what the client likes. How
Hmm.
can I now make it better or make their training better based on what they like? Some
Hmm.
clients love low rep uh, a lot of clients like low rep exercises, so low reps. Some clients like high reps, some clients like a mix of both. So imagine if a client loved low rep ranges and all I gave them was 10 to 15 or 12 to 17 or 15 to 20 rep ranges.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. So it's like, right, how can I be specific with this? Some movements will probably respond better to maybe a little bit higher rep range. Like, for example, like a leg extension or hamstring curl. I do believe like doing maybe 5 reps is probably not the best thing to do. Like with
But
your
yeah, I find that as well. Volume when it like leg extensions, hamstrings, things like that.
yeah. So it's like right, how can I give them the like obviously the top end of a low rep range, and then okay, right, let's do a hack squat. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's maybe go 5 to 8. Let's do a back off set of 8 to 10. Then let's keep it low rep range, but may be clever with it.
Hmm.
So yeah, enjoyment as well is a big factor. How can I include intensify sets? So I spoke to I think Ash. I was training with Ash just before Christmas, and he was talking about sometimes he got bored and all that. And I said I understand a lot of people do get bored of training, but they don't know how to include different things to mix it up, like your drop sets, your Myers reps, your rest pauses, your drop sets. When are they going to be the best time to use in certain exercises? What muscles respond best to those type of intensify sets? And that's where I come into play and go, okay, cool. We've now built up to this. Let's maybe teach you how to do a rest pause in a chest press. Let's do a drop set on a lat pull down, for example. Let's have fun with it. Like the whole point
Hmm.
is to have fun. Lots of my clients are not bodybuilders. They are
Hmm.
there to train, to look good, to have fun, to enjoy their training, and to learn some new cool shit. So that's what my job. That's what my job as a coach is.
Absolutely. And I think as well for people with less specific goals of just wanting to have fun with it, there's so many exercises that you can do as well to keep them learning and stuff like that. So I won't always change a plan completely to just like say, for example, one training phase, we got 8 set exercises. And then next training phase, I won't ever just completely change the plan. So it's got a whole completely different 8 exercises for the same session, but you might change one or two so that they're always learning and finding enjoyment in trying out new movements and exercises and machines and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really important, and that's where the coach comes into play. And I've got a load of ideas in my toolbox, like loads of things that I've learned from resistance training, how to apply it, what clients I'll respond to. A really good example of like not having to change the whole split is Annie, as an example. Like that split is what we did in our last phase, which was the lower, upper, quads, and posterior. But I've added delts onto quads. I've changed the rep ranges around. We've gone to focus on something that she wanted to add in. We wanted to up our volume a little bit more on glutes because obviously she's going into a cutting phase, so she wants to do everything she physically can to hold on to those glutes for the photo shoot. And this is where specific programming comes for the individual. Um, I don't know why I mentioned that. I think I've gone off on tangent. What was the question?
As usual, always going off on
I
tangents.
know. When I start talking, I can't stop. I start all these things coming into my. I think I
You're
edit.
starting to sound like me.
I think yeah, yeah. And then we just got to go through the consultation. They broke their knee 7 years ago playing football. It was on the there and there.
This is a not really off topic, but I'd say it's something that helps me determine, depending on time, what kind of program I'll give them. Yeah, especially for ones that do have the time to do more isolation sort of training, is I'll get them to take pictures before I do a program because then you can see visually. All right, cool. They might be lacking in rear delts compared to their traps and things like that. So I'll build a program based on what I see visually might need a little bit more work compared to other areas that they might be more dominant. And I see that with people who do, say, like roofing, for example, where they're physical, but their work will make them use more muscle groups compared to others. So when it comes to the gym, they've already got some muscles that are well developed and others that are lacking. That might make me determine, all right, cool, we're gonna bias these muscles compared to those because those ones are already quite well developed compared to the others.
Yeah, mate. That's so weird that you say that. I've literally built again. I've done quite a few programs this morning. Louis, who's just come back, he's doing a cut for Christmas. He's come back. He's an old client who did a photo shoot last year, and I've just built his program up 4 days a week, and we are doing more volume on chest because he goes, I want to focus on that more. I want to have more volume on chest than you do on back.
Mm-hmm.
So I've made more sets or total volume of sets in his new program that he's going to start next week, more chest. And we've just done maintenance volume on back, for example. Um, so yeah, specific to what they like and what also what you see as a coach. I would always recommend. I always say to coaches, I say to a client like, "This is what I'm going to do. This is what it is. Let me know what you think." And these are my reasons for it. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
do the onboarding video with Louis, and I say, right, this is the program. That this is what you said on here. This is what we've. I know your physique is like. This is what your photos are showing. So this is why we're doing this. If you don't like it, let me know. So it's always very important.
Absolutely.
Have we gone into a 5 day training split? We haven't even spoken about 5 days yet.
No, we haven't actually.
Five.
When you hit me now, what you do with someone who can train 5 days?
Um, I've got.
This is where it gets quite interesting because again, they got more time now, so they got more opportunity to play around with different kind of splits and movements and exercises as well in a program.
I think as well. 5 days is a lot, by the way, guys. Like 5 days, I've only got two clients on 5 days, and it is a lot. I did 5 days, and I was shattered. I just could keep up with five. I did keep up with it, but it's not what my preference was. So 5 days, I've gone. I like the old Jordan Peterson JP style training, where one of them is done push, pull, legs, push chest dominant, pull with no lower back loading, legs, push with shoulders, and then a density split. So it's called the density split, which is actually a really cool split to do. And that's for very much more trained individuals. I don't think if you are a beginner or intermediate, you would need to do 5 days. But if
Mhm.
you were, a density split similar to JP training would work very well. I think works very well. Um, as a female, I have a couple. Actually, no, I do have a couple of females clients on 5 days. Um, we've got, you know what? I'll even show you. I'll even say it. Got Leanne on 5 days, I believe. I've got it on my phone. If only I could bring it up on the computer so they could see on thingy. Yeah. So Leanne, I have Leanne on a training split of posterior, push, rest, glutes and hamstrings, pull, which is just upper back, which is back, and then quads on Saturday, and then rest on Sunday. Now, our total amount of exercises per session is lowered because we've spread it out more over the time. She can stick to that. It is a lot, but then she's not actually in the gym that long. She's about 50 minutes, 55 minutes, and that works really well for her. But I've organized everything like a puzzle to focus on the things that she wanted to without recovery being impeded, without being
Mhm.
really sore for one of the training sessions, and it works very, very well. So
I think organising the days that they're going to be doing what is a really important factor in regards to someone who can train that amount of times per week.
yeah, like I mentioned to her, you can't move these sessions around. Like if you miss a session, you missed a session. You can't
Yeah,
to that. That's important to note that if you're doing 5 day training, your ability to miss days or move days around decreases a hell of a lot.
100%.
Because you're
What
recovering.
what happens is, yeah, that if like their favorite session that they like doing is a glute session, but then they missed that day that they had glutes scheduled, and then the next session's an upper body session. So easy for them to say, "Oh, I didn't do glutes yesterday. I'm going to do that instead of doing the upper." Now all of a sudden, it just messes up the whole.
Yeah, messes up the split. It messes up the frequency across the week. So again, like there's no specific like if we're looking at a female, obviously you're looking at more uh lower body movements. I have in my blitz, I have two lowers, three lowers and one upper, two uppers. So it goes lower, upper, lower, upper, lower. But then that last lower session is very like it's only like four exercises because
Mhm,
again, recovery is up. It can overlap. For a male, I do push, pull, legs, upper, lower. That works really well. If you
mhm.
can push, pull, legs, upper, lower.
That would be the split I would do as well.
Yeah, that would work very well. I've done that before, long time ago. Works very well. You know, you push your upper session can be focused more on what you want to focus on a little bit more. Um, push pull legs, push pull is very even, and then your upper can be like, right, what are we missing out on? What can we add more volume on? What would you like to focus a little bit more? What's dominant, your chest or your back? Okay, your back's more dominant. Let's do a bit more chest on the upper than we do on the back, stuff like that. And then your lower could just be another top up of a mixed quads and
Mhm.
glutes. What would you do?
My the split I would do personally myself is most likely to be if I train 5 times a week would be push pull legs upper lower.
Yeah, and it's quite it does take it out of you. I'm not gonna lie. That is it's a lot of
I'd say when I first started training, I had the energy to train 5 times a week. I don't know whether it's we're not getting any younger, but now I'd struggle.
yeah. No,
I'd
I suppose the younger you got.
struggle.
Well, you are still young. How old are you? 26.
26, yeah.
I'm 8 years off 40. That makes
I'm
me.
I'm 30. I'm 30, bro. Don't tell him.
Oh yeah, did I come to your birthday?
Yeah, that was my 28th birthday. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
years ago.
Um, what else was I gonna say about the? Oh, okay, yeah. So I had Vinay, the guy, a client from America, loves 5 days. But then we were deep into a cut, and I said I want to take you to 4 days, and he said no. And I said all right, but I don't think you'll be able to keep up.
Mhm,
And he was like, Coach, I need to come down to 4 days. He goes because he could not with the low food that he was on, the high cardio he was on as well, could not bring himself to do a training fifth training session.
mhm.
That's another thing, guys, to think about. Are you pushing food up into a surplus or are you in deep in a cut? Because 5 days training on low food and high cardio,
It's going to be horrendous.
and you want to be going, right, what's the minimal amount of resistance training I can do? Because we know that doesn't contribute to fat loss. We know we're just trying to retain the muscle, but we want to create more of a deficit, therefore increase the cardio, the steps, and decrease the food.
Mhm,
So that's another thing. We went down to 4 days when we got deep into that fat loss phase because he just could not bring himself to do the fifth session because he trains like an animal, which is good. So yeah, it's another thing to think about. There's so many things to think about, so you can kind of get an idea of how us coaches are thinking about when we're building training plans and where they are in their skill level, where they are in their journey in like maintenance, surplus, or deficit. Um, yeah, I think I think that's gone on to. I've done one time where I've done 6 days for a client, but never didn't work.
yeah, see, recovery is so important, and I'd say you need at least 2 recovery days a week. Yeah, as hard as it is for someone who has that bug, or they're like, "Oh, I just want to be in the gym." I feel like at least 2 recovery days is the minimum you should have, um, especially as like if you're pushing your body to its max during your sessions. Some people training it just looks like they're just having a stroll through the park. If you're training like that, then yeah, you could do 7 days and you're like, I don't, and you're not going to feel too fatigued. But if you're training as you should be training with the right volume and intensity, there's there's no way you'll be able to train that much.
Feels
And
hit.
there's
Yeah.
nothing to say that you can't do exercise on your rest days if you feel like you've got the energy for it. But for you to be able to get the most out of your sessions, if you're pushing yourself hard enough every session, it'd be really hard to be able to do that without any rest days.
Yeah, you're spot on there. Literally spot on. And I say this to clients as well. I say you want to be buzzing to get in the gym, but you want to be excited to get the fuck out of there.
Mm.
Like you want, I'm toasted. I'm done. Towards the end of my training session, I said, that's it. I'm done. I need to get out of it. If you're walking out of that gym going, that was easy, you're not training hard enough. I
And
remember.
you know the ones who are walking out the gym like that was easy when they're on their phones for 5 minutes in between sets.
Yeah,
They're they're doing their 12 reps and putting the weight down without even having to grunt a little bit or without a bit of sweat dripping.
yeah,
And then they've been in the gym for 2 hours and only did 3 or 4 exercises, and they're like, I've been in the gym for 2 hours
yeah.
because they're on their phone half the time. Those are the kind of people who will be able to train 7 days a week because they've not exhausted themselves during their sessions.
You should enjoy rest days as well, guys. Like I enjoy a rest day. I enjoy a recovery day. I enjoy going out, getting my steps in, or going to a sauna or going to a cold plunge. Like you want to be enjoying those rest days. If you think you can train more and more and more and more, train harder or learn how to train harder. Once you get past that beginner stage, that you're learning and you're training, you're learning your training intensity. And this is where I always get clients to send videos. It's like, no, you got way more in the tank. Literally every time you got more in the tank. I've got more in the tank sometimes. I look at my own videos and go, I had more there. Can't believe I wussed out on that.
Mm.
So yeah, recovery is very important. You've got to be making sure that you train hard enough to be wanting to get the fuck out of that gym at the end. Um, yeah, I think
On
that's
that note, this conversation is making me want to get the fuck in the gym.
yeah. Do you know what? I missed out on this morning. I was feeling not too worse for wear, so I didn't go to the gym. I'm training legs tomorrow.
Great, so you've ruined your whole split for the week.
No, 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 no. I've got an opportunity to move things around because I'm on push, pull, legs, and then like push or whatever. So I started the day with push, Monday, pull on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, rest, Friday, legs, Saturday, push, Monday, pull again.
Mhm. I'd say if anyone who's listening should take something away from this conversation, it is if you don't have a plan, reach out to someone, reach out to us, and we can help you put together a plan. Do not go into the gym without a plan because before you know it, you'll just be bored of doing the same things or the overwhelm of knowing what to do and not being able to go and do it. You're not going to last. So most importantly, have something that you can follow, program that you can stick to, program that you can progress with. So then you feel some sense of achievement when you're beating your old numbers, and that's what's going to push you further.
Mic drop. That's perfect. Yeah. And it's been shown, by the way, guys, if you've got a plan, you've got targets to reach, and you've got like a bit of a time frame, you're going to train harder and you're going to do better. I read
Mhm.
a study today as well about that. So if you go in random with nothing, you're gonna please expect not much return on your investment in terms of your own physique. So get a plan. Go based on what we've said as well. 3 days full body approach. Make sure you rest in between those days. 4 days, you got push pull legs upper, you got push pull legs full body. Depending on rest days, you've got full body push, full body pull, full body push, full body pull. You've got maybe me where I go push, pull, legs, push, and then keep rotating around. Choice is yours. Rep ranges 8 to 12. I would go for rep sets 2 or 3, and then base your recovery on that, guys. And then rest time, I would go 60 to 90 seconds rest time. That's a nice ending. I didn't mention about rest time as well. So hopefully you guys get a lot from what we've just mentioned. That's our thought process on training. And then, yeah, Phil, what are you doing for the rest of the day?
I've just got some calls to do. I'm gonna go get myself down the gym as well. That's about it really today.
I need to get out in the sun again. It's the first time we've seen blue sky in about 3 weeks.
I'd, I'd say this year is the year that I've spent the most time indoors.
Oh, to
It's
be fair, yeah, the year has only been like what, 2 days.
like
So.
last year.
All right, guys. If you've got any questions, as always, reach out to me or Phil on Instagram. Our next podcast will be with Timo Franco, the what do you call him? The mobility mentor. That was it. He's an absolute expert with the human body. So we're going to be talking about how you, as an individual, can maximize your posture and maximize how you can. Yeah, how do you explain it? Like we're all sitting on desks, we're all sitting down like this, and we're going to speak to Timo about what we can do to make sure we don't get, you know.
I think what he goes into on a deep level is how everything that we do, including how we sit, impacts how our body moves for
Yeah,
like after that as well. So, for example, sitting down, our body doesn't isn't naturally built to be in a sat down position, but what we do is we reinforce that bad posture so it feels more comfortable for us, but which eventually leads to longer term problems.
yeah, and that's what Timo's going to chat to us about. I'm actually excited, so I'm going to be learning a few things as well. So next podcast, Timo Franco as our guest speaker to speak about how we can avoid sitting on a desk all day because most of us do. See you later.